Hi, everyone, and welcome to Life with Goldie podcast, where we'll be interviewing the Salesforce Golden Hoodie recipients around the world and exploring their journey in the Trailblazer ecosystem. I'm your host, Mia Pacey, also a Golden Hoodie recipient, but I'm here today, joined with Kel Henderson, our most recent Golden Hoodie down under in Australia. Hey, Kel.
Hey.
Thanks for being with us today.
No problem at all. It sounds really impressive. I sound a lot more impressive when other people introduce me. So,
oh, good. Well, no, you are very impressive. You've joined the ranks of the Life with Goldie around the world, where people are obviously wearing crazy jackets that shine gold. We would like to dive into your story a little bit from your perspective about how you came into Salesforce. When did you really dive into this Trailblazer ecosystem? Can you take us through it?
Yeah, sure. So I've had a career for 20-something years, and I've gone through a lot of the CRM stuff before it was really CRM. So early 2000s, I was working for Bank West and Telstra, marketing analytics, doing that kind of stuff, working with Lotus Notes, so the collaboration space. Went to mining, decided to give back, so donated my time for non-for-profits on the board to try and give back. Then I actually did an implementation for one of them, so did a couple of selections and went with other products at the time for various reasons. Did an implementation, found it pretty hard at the time because there was not really much support over here, little documentation.
Where's over here?
Over in Perth, the most isolated city in the world. So
that's true, actually. Fun fact, guys.
It's beautiful during COVID because of the hard border. You know, we really didn't have any lockdowns. We had events. While everybody else was on lockdown, we weren't wearing masks. We could go drink beer at pubs and things like that. So we're actually facing our peak at the moment. So There's a lot of disruption at the moment as a result. But we've waited until it's low risk, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's true.
But I then got a couple of projects in the CRM space, putting in various ones, and then I decided Trailhead came along, so I started teaching myself Trailhead. I remember in the early days, I think there was about 67 badges, and my goal was to hit 50.
Nice.
A little bit different to what it is now.
Yeah.
But that was really the trigger to bring it to everybody for me. Jumping on and constantly seeing the new badges that got me over a number of hurdles. And when I got stuck, I didn't really have much, anywhere to go to. So that's where I started the journey in the community groups. It was always about trying to find people that would join the journey. And what's the saying? If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so from my perspective, it was very much about trying to create that group so that I could selfishly get help when I needed it. So it was something for me, but it actually ended up helping a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, so was there a big user group kind of ecosystem over in Perth at that time?
No. So there was a user group, and we're just about to help kick off the Adelaide developer group. So I did a little bit of research, and there really hasn't been many other meetings in the other groups. I took over from the initiation was Lee. He ran about 4 or 5 meetings and then went out of the ecosystem. He'd come over from Ireland, so he was used to having a good ecosystem, and he wanted to replicate it here, and it just wasn't the same for him. And then he ended up leaving the ecosystem, which is a shame, but I kept it alive and kept going and pushed through.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's not the same because it's fairly newer in Australia as in Salesforce, and especially over in Perth. I believe Salesforce has only put a couple of employees over there recently. So yeah, no doubt.
Let me interrupt you there. It's fantastic. So it used to be public sector only. So there was 3 people employed, and now I think they're pushing over 30 plus Tableau plus MuleSoft.
That's awesome.
So we're getting a lot of support over here, which is it's a lot all of a sudden. So that there's a huge amount of activity. I'm not used to it. It's great though.
Yeah. And so when you started those ecosystems and you started, the Trailblazer community groups, making them a little bit more robust, did you find that giving back was really something that you wanted to do going forward? Like, is your career path?
Not so much. It wasn't a career path. It was just personal interest.
Yeah.
It was really about I like the computer geek culture of everybody wants to teach somebody something, so that if I teach you something, you might teach me something, and it's almost a way of showing off. It's we teach each other things, and nobody loses.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting, because it's definitely a shift from other kind of industries where if you teach someone something, you're at risk of losing your job because they might come over. But it's nice to know that the tech world in Perth especially is that giving back. Like, everything that you do is definitely reciprocated with someone else maybe teaching you down the line something that they know as well. So that's awesome. And you've gone on to have your own consulting company, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been consulting for when I went into the mining industry just before, what was it, about 2008, and did a lot of consulting. Worked with SAP and a bunch of other things, and then I had a little consulting company there. I closed it down when we had some family issues. So when my youngest child was born with Down syndrome. But the scary things that the doctors teach you about Down syndrome before you actually get to meet them, the statistics aren't very positive. So, you get the low life expectancy, you get major heart defects, you get all of these other things. He's turned out to be a cheeky little guy. He's so funny.
Amazing.
He's non-verbal, which is about the only thing that, it comes in handy when you're trying to explain things. Comes in handy when he's sick and, you can get the symptoms, but otherwise he's just pushing us around and having a laugh, and he's so motivated by laughing. It's a pleasure.
Oh, that sounds like such a joy. That's amazing. That's really good to hear that you don't have to be scared, especially talking about it and having such a great outcome for yourself and your family. That's really amazing. We're also talking about great outcomes. You came to World Tour in Sydney just recently, and you were presented with the Golden Hoodie. For some of us, I guess, haven't been to in-person events or haven't yet been in an audience, could you take us through what it was like personally for yourself getting presented that Golden Hoodie? What did it feel like on stage?
It was a little bit of shock. It was one of those surreal moments where I thought that I was really in the theme of Dylan Alcott and putting a different perspective on things. And when the hoodie was presented, it's my journey to me has been a lot of hard work. It's been like running a marathon, and you don't really stop and appreciate halfway through the marathon how far you've come along. Other people see it, and I'm still, the imposter syndrome. I don't know whether it will ever disappear, but I got it, and then I was confused. It was like, well, what does this mean? I did so little preparation. It was like, well, I know what an MVP does. I'm not really sure what the Golden Hoodie does. And I'm not an MVP. And I thought that would be a more likely outcome than the Golden Hoodie, but. It was like I escalated to a different level. So
you were asked to guys come up and tell your story. Is that kind of how it all started? Yeah,
it was very much. And from my perspective, I have a very different journey because I've
Yeah.
gone out and I've decided to start a company because I couldn't get a job in Salesforce because there weren't any over here.
Yeah.
I created that company and I created the opportunity for myself. It wasn't so much going to work for somebody and developing as a entrepreneur. It was the entrepreneur. It was the outside of the creating the opportunity and then grabbing other people that were like-minded and working together with them to build something out of nothing. And we've got a really cool little crew of about 10 people at the moment. And, you know, it's just a pleasure. I can understand it from an external perspective, why it's so interesting and so different. And I thought I was talking about that, and then to get the golden hoodie, it was I'm not used to these in-person events. We haven't had one for a while. I wasn't on the radar.
Yeah, not a massive in-person event, definitely not down under here, but it was. And then so Beck actually I was there in World Tour when I was at the back of the pack in the back of the room, and I saw Beck jump up. Was that amazing to see one of your, I guess, friends in the ecosystem come and present that to you?
Oh yeah, totally. It was it was just, as I said, it was totally unexpected, you know. And Beck came over and presented to one of our user groups in the early days, so just after she got her golden hoodie, and she was over in Perth, and we created a meeting so that she could explain it. And so it's really full circle almost. As I said, a couple of years later, I'm in the same position, and now it's my job to pay it forward and go and encourage other people to lift and give back. And you know, I'm looking forward to other people helping other people when they get the hoodie.
Yeah, that's right. It is all about that. The ecosystem is definitely that giving back, paying it forward, coming around the full circle, and then you get also help going forward. But so it's been quite not very long since you got it. Do you think anything's changed for you personally, professionally? You did mention you still have a bit of imposter syndrome around it. Do you think anything has changed significantly for you so far?
Honestly, the biggest thing was flying back to Perth on the Friday and testing positive for COVID the next day. So it was
highs and lows.
I don't think I haven't had a chance.
Yeah.
I've just got back on top of the workload.
Yeah.
The team are running smooth, and it's I'm still kind of going, what's next? What am I doing? I'm not. I've never been I guess an overt salesperson.
Yeah.
And so I work with people to solve problems. So it's almost like this is a beacon. So more and more people will come to us and ask for advice. And that's where I think that my role has been in WA. If people don't know where to go, I'm that landmark where people come and talk to me, and I guide them and direct them and basically help them continue with their journey.
Yes, it's kind of solidified the fact that you are able to give people assistance and give people confidence to come and ask for that assistance because you have been recognized in the community. Does that kind of resonate with you?
Yeah, most of the time previously it's been, okay, well, you want advice? I need to go and get breakfast, so bacon and coffee, and I'll give you lots of advice while I drink and eat.
And my payment comes in the form of bacon and eggs, please.
Oh no, I usually buy it. I usually buy it for other people. It's just the excuse to.
Yeah, true. It's the form of meetings that I prefer. Thank you. Over food, I definitely assume that.
We had a lot of Trailhead Tuesdays, which were meetings, and which were breakfast meetings, and then Salesforce Saturdays that were breakfast meetings. And for a while there, the coffee shops were closing down around us because of COVID.
Yeah.
And we thought we were cursed.
I must admit, it is my favorite meal. Breakfast is my favorite meal. I will go out of my way to find the coffee shop or the cafe that has the best breakfast. I don't know how it is in Perth. Is it a culture I want to come to over in Perth? So breakfast menus?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm down.
Oh, don't worry. I have a long list of places. The brisket Benedict at the moment is the one of choice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about how you've given a lot back. You've done a lot in your user groups in your area. On the flip side, though, how has the Trailblazer ecosystem or community or people around the world helped you grow in your career or in the Trailblazer ecosystem?
I love the fact that in the community, you can always reach out to somebody. By jumping onto Twitter, you're connected to a whole heap of people. Anybody that isn't connected on Twitter, in the Salesforce ecosystem, I joined Twitter and got a really bad name because I waited until I was in Salesforce before, I joined up Twitter. I didn't. Yeah, I never wanted to join Twitter, but then it's so important for me day to day now, being able to be connected to people all around the world, and if you ask a question, people will just come back. Most people give you their time. They might be busy and there's a delay, but you never get anybody rude. You never get, it's never the hard sell. It's just a fantastic community where everybody just wants to help one another.
Yeah, we hear stories about people across the world just giving up some time to jump on a call with someone or to just answer a question that they may have, but they're using their own time to do that. It's an unbelievable kind of ecosystem we live in.
I ran an event called Quokka Dreaming.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of the dreaming events over here. And I just decided that I was going to do it because Simon Gascoigne dared me, and so I didn't want to lose the dare. Said that I'd do it, and that created a bit of a problem. But I just decided that I was going to have, I think it was 11 time slots of 30 minutes. I reached out to a bunch of people and I said, "You've presented at this other user group. Will you present at mine?" And people that I didn't really know were happy to do so. And people are happy to give up, an hour or two on their afternoon to be able to help. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and it is so humbling. And on that, did your Twitter blow up after you got Golden Hoodie? Did you get a lot more?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I saw some of the new Golden Hoodie people, and I could relate. Yeah, they've just been awarded, and it's like at 2 a.m. I'm still replying to all of my, and yeah,
it is that way. But it is so lovely that everyone wants to reach out and congratulate you. It's definitely a unique experience. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So I guess we've been in the ecosystem for a little bit. You said you've been in consulting for a while, and done some stuff on your own. How would you, or what would you say to new Trailblazers coming into the ecosystem, to kind of help them out? What advice would you give them?
I love super badges. I really think that they are a game changer for employees and employers, because you can do the badges and it's very much like reading a textbook. Then you do your projects and it's step by step. But those super badges are really enabling you for the workforce. So as an employer, I look for, I build them into the curriculum, the development plans of go through the early stages, but your next milestone is those super badges. And then after those super badges is your certifications. And your certifications are really there's no substitute for experience. However, that's a really good way of making sure that you have all of the right terminology when you're speaking to a client. You don't confuse people. But those super badges, I tell everybody that's new in the ecosystem, that's your goal. If you can do those, and you can ask for support. Just don't jump online and watch somebody else do it. Ask somebody for support to approach it a little bit differently, and you set yourself up for success.
Would you say it's really important to go to those user groups to be able to create those connections to ask someone for help too?
Yeah, and they're very different. So the Adelaide one, they're starting with a virtual meeting. I've always been very conscious of having local physical events to create the networks, and that's probably one of the things that I can improve on, which is expanding the reach. I've been very much focused on trying to build up the Perth ecosystem rather than the wider ecosystem. So I've really tried to focus in on that niche because there was a big gap there. But find a mentor, find some kind of support network. It doesn't matter how you do it. If you're in the middle of nowhere, we've had people drive. We had two gents that were driving over an hour each way.
Wow, that's not hard in Perth.
So, they're actually different sides of
the
Perth.
Entire half of a country.
Yeah, but we don't really like driving that much. So,
yeah, no, I definitely agree. Join Trailblazer user groups. There are heaps virtually. Like I remember in the lockdown, I joined one in Hawaii just because I wanted to be in Hawaii. So why not connect with a couple of people where I wanted to be as well? But virtually or in person, I don't think it's bad that you're growing the ecosystem in Perth. That's, as you're saying, it's a need, it's a niche hole, and especially to kind of give people the confidence in Perth that they've got a tight-knit community group that they can come to for help. So wherever you are in the world, you can definitely find a Trailblazer user group to connect with. And maybe it's just like Quokka Dreaming. Maybe you'll get a very similar event. I'm very jealous of that Quokka Dreaming, by the way. You've got the cutest animal as a mascot. That is gold. I love it.
Well, there was a method to that. The idea was that we would try and have one day as the Salesforce event, and we would do one day over at Rottnest Island. So with all the speakers. So if you're going to fly over here, you've got to make it to the wineries, which are only, there's Margaret River, there's the Swan Valley. We've got excellent beaches. It's just try and get people over here and not make it just a one-day event, make it more like a week event, make it worthwhile.
Yeah, no, it's definitely on my bucket list to get to Rottnest Island. I definitely want to. It's just, that hard border thing and the shark thing, because I like to swim everywhere I go. So I'm still getting over that bit. But I'll definitely drink the wine.
What shark thing?
The fact that lots of people get eaten on your side of the country.
There's not too many tasty people over here. So, there's like everywhere, there's some areas that there's more sharks. Yeah. It's not a common thing.
But as we're talking about animals, it's got a nice segue into my fun fact question of the day, which is, if you could be an animal, what animal would you be and why?
I think it'd probably be a wolf. And I love the concept of the wolf pack. Everybody's got a different role and everybody works together. So I think there's some old Rudyard Kipling quotes about the wolf pack that really inspiring about it's not, the wolf isn't a dominating character, but when they work as a team, they're ferocious.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. I guess that resonates with how you're working at the moment, because you create that kind of environment where everyone can work to their strengths in your consulting. So that's really good. I like that one. That one's a good one. All these different animals I never even thought of, and I learn more each time I ask the question. So that's a good one.
Well, you do have one behind you, so it's a bit of a
Blaze. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, he can stay. Cool. So I would like to round out the podcast with just kind of an open mic set. So you can discuss anything or promote anything or let anyone know lasting words in the ecosystem. Over to you, Kel.
I love the ecosystem, what it can provide. So just even on my trip over to Sydney, you've got a bunch of people that have taught themselves how to use the platform based on the materials that are out there. So I don't really think anybody's got a very good excuse not to try, not to grow, and not to share the experience with other people. I think that we all make one another better, especially in this ecosystem. There's enough work, there's enough knowledge to share around. It's really that abundance mindset in this ecosystem. No one needs to lose. We can all help one another.
That's amazing.
It's very easy.
Yeah. And if someone wanted to reach out to you in Perth, what's your consulting company called?
We're 221. So 221's a reference to the Down syndrome. So my young fella that's got Down syndrome. So my kids are my reason why, and he amplified it by being, I guess, in a unique situation where he probably needs a little bit more support than others. And there's a lot of people out there that need help. I'm very grateful for. I'm very vanilla. I don't fit into a niche of anything. I'm a white male. I'm very privileged, and I need to give back. So that's my big thing at the moment. So 221, but LinkedIn is usually my best option. Reach out, just don't say good day.
Yeah.
Don't try and sell me anything, and I'll connect.
Yeah, say good day and then why they came to see you and give you context when you connect. I think that's a good one. That's always the best way of connecting with someone, especially if you just want to say, I met you in the ecosystem, or I heard you on the Life with Goldie podcast. That's a good way of connecting on LinkedIn. And then, of course, Twitter. We're all on Twitter, so jump on Twitter and we can hang out in that space, or see us or see Kel in any virtual events that may come up, or events when you head over to Perth, which is exciting. Hopefully I'll be there maybe this year. We'll see. I'll give you a holler. It's definitely somewhere everyone should be. But thank you so much, Kel, for being part of Life with Goldie podcast. And hope you have a lovely day and hope you had fun.
Thank you.